This episode of the Sloopcast brought to you by the Ozone Radio Network. The Ozone Radio Network is awesome. I mean, whatever. Does anything more need to be said, Kyle? And you want to participate maybe in this ad read? Does anything? It's awesome. We have awesome shows over on the Ozone Radio Network.
Yeah, a lot of different podcasts, a lot of different articles from your favorite contributors.
Like I said, some of the best podcasting in all of the Ohio State universe and some of the best writing in all of the Ohio State universe by Tom Moore and Tony Gerdeman and the entire crew over there at theozone.net. So once again, this episode of the Sloopcast brought to you by the Ozone Radio Network. This episode of the Sloopcast also brought to you by a local beer company. Or maybe a local t-shirt company. Or maybe your company. I don't know.
Your ad could be here.
Seriously, we are your park bench with the big old "your ad here" sign right now. We are taking offers, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Your ad could be right here. We got barbecue back here. You're all invited. Welcome to the Sloopcast. How are you doing today, Kyle?
I'm doing pretty well over here, Eric. How are you?
Doing pretty good over here. You know what I've discovered over the past month or more? That really there's nothing... I don't know why I say I discovered this, but I've been embracing it recently. There's honest to God nothing better than live music. Really nothing better than live music. I've gone to a concert every single weekend for the past 2 months, and it really is just the best. And then I just go, I live in Grove City, and if you're not maybe from the Columbus area, maybe this means nothing to you, but I live in Grove City, Ohio. There's a great, you know what, screw it, let's give some shout outs. There's a great little spot in uptown Grove City here called the Hop Yard. They got like 18 beers on tap, all of it craft, most of it from Ohio, a decent amount of it from Columbus. And just even then, they got a guy in the corner just killing it. Just a guy playing guitar in a corner of a bar, and he's killing it. On Friday, Franklinton is doing this thing on Fridays where they're doing free concerts on the loading dock of the Columbus Idea Foundry, and it's great because they're like in the same block as like the Land Grant Tap Room, and the brand new Brewdog Tap Room is just across the street from the Land Grant Tap Room, and they're going to be doing that all summer. So I'm going to give another shout out to the Franklinton Fridays, I think is what they're calling it, Franklinton Fridays, doing free concerts at the back of the Columbus Idea Foundry. You can go there, you can listen to some free music, you can hit up the Land Grant and Brewdog Tap Rooms. It's great. I normally save my music ramblings for the end of the show, but you know what? Screw it.
Why not?
Why not? And while I'm doing the music ramblings, I am actually also announcing the launch of my new podcast. It should be coming up here in a few weeks. I don't have an exact schedule on that yet. Actually, I think, you know what, screw it. Let's put my feet to the fire here. Kyle and I will be taking off Memorial Day from the Sloopcast. We won't be releasing a new episode that week. I think what I'm going to do is drop a 7071 episode there instead, maybe the first episode. And yes, that is the name of the podcast. It is the 7071 music no, it's just clean. It's just 7071. But it's a music podcast that will focus on Ohio-based music, although not exclusively. I will jump outside of the borders, which is why I used Interstates, the 7071 Interstates, as the moniker for the podcast, because it's centralized in Ohio, 70 and 71, but we will be leaving Ohio from time to time. So that was sort of the motivation behind the 7071 name. Kyle, is it time to talk about football already?
I guess. How long's it been here? 7 minutes now?
5 minutes. That's not so bad. I mean, because like a minute or so of that is ad reads, and I tell you what, screw it. Let's hold off football for a little bit longer. What are we going to name this episode? Let's do that. Let's just reverse the show. Let's do all the stuff at the end at the beginning. What are we going to name this episode? We could go Bye Bye Burrows, and
oh God,
Tony Gerdeman is flipping his mind right now because I just accidentally said Burrows.
And that's the reason he left.
Yeah, Tony Girdman's going to fire us. That's it. We're done. This might be the last episode of the Buckeye Sloopcast. He's going to rip us off the air. Tony Girdman's done with us. We're fired. I could have corrected myself, but I didn't. But I knew I said it wrong, and that's the important thing.
You just got to go with it.
Just got to go with it. Just got to keep running forward. Can't stop. Can't go back. Just got to keep moving forward.
So since we're going backwards, at Kyle's corner here,
we sure as hell aren't moving forward. Thank God there's not a lot to talk about today, or I might be stressed out about all the time we're wasting at the top of the show. Hey, if we're having fun, hopefully the audience is having fun, as Todd Glass likes to say. We could go bye-bye Burrow. We could go full-time quarterback. Full-time quarterback might be a good name for the show, because we're talking basically nothing but quarterbacks today.
In a way that people might not be thinking.
Or maybe exactly how they're thinking. I don't know. How many different angles can we take at it, really? Oh, for God's sake, let's just talk about some football. All right. Joey Burrow transferring. Joey Burrow's transferring. If you're listening to this podcast, if you're a Buckeye fan, one, you probably saw this coming, and two, we're not breaking any news to you, as this happened, by the time this episode gets released a little while ago. So that's not breaking news. And even if it were breaking news, not that surprising. Been the worst kept secret in Columbus for a while. And what remains to be seen is exactly why he transferred. And when I say that, I mean, we have still yet to receive any official word publicly about a decision. Dwayne Haskins has not publicly been named the starting quarterback at Ohio State yet. There is no indication that, but of what Joey Burrow was told by the coaches. And I think anything short of Joey Burrow, you are the starting quarterback at Ohio State, he was going to transfer. So if he walked in there and he sat down with Ryan Day and Kevin Wilson and Urban Meyer, and they said, we just don't have an answer for you yet. We don't know who the starting quarterback is, then he was going to leave. And that's probably, if I were to, take a guess, what happened. Although we don't have any insight on any conversations that did or did not happen.
Let's just stick with Joe Burrow here. Where is he going to go from here? Since he's a graduate transfer, he can play right away.
Yes.
And
I think that's mission number one for him, is to play right away.
Yes. One of them is an interesting one here, but the schools that he's interested in consist of Ohio, which is where his dad coaches.
His dad's the longtime defensive coordinator for the Bobcats.
Mm-hmm. Cincinnati, Florida, LSU, UCLA, and Nebraska. Nebraska is the interesting one.
Well, in Nebraska, I think I said it on the show weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks ago that, if he transfers, he's probably going to go to Nebraska. And that is no longer, if it were ever, true. In fact, it's almost to the point where you're taking Nebraska off of the list. There's not apparently a lot of interest from Scott Frost. I think he's maybe going to stick with what he has. The relationship just does not seem to be strong there, and quite frankly, we don't know if Ohio State would allow it. Ohio State can block a transfer if they want to block a transfer, and Ohio State plays Nebraska this year and next. Yep,
that's the big thing right there, is Ohio State draws Nebraska the next 2 years. I can't blame for Ohio State wanting to, if they would block Nebraska, but at the same point, I'm kind of the person like, he got his degree, he should go anywhere. But I understand the other side of it too, but I'm leaning more towards he should go anywhere he wants to.
Yeah, but this isn't like Auburn blocking, I'm forgetting his name, the defensive tackle who did end up at Ohio State anyway, but this isn't like, Auburn just blocking all of the best schools in the country, and specifically Ohio State, just to screw over the kid. This is an in-conference rival who's on your schedule for the next 2 years. I think that's an acceptable block. I think this is why the blocks are in place. I wouldn't blame any coach for blocking the transfer of a player within the conference period.
Hmm.
I wouldn't blame it.
Yeah, so I definitely cross off. Yeah, I definitely cross off Nebraska here too. I pretty much would cross off Ohio too because I think he wants to go
Yeah.
to a little bit bigger school than
Yeah,
Ohio.
there's some irony here. The two schools where he has strong family ties, Nebraska, where his brothers played football. I believe there's still an uncle. I don't know. I'm not going to say it because I'm not sure, but I believe there's some sort of family member who is involved with the football program at Nebraska. I forget. It's something I knew, or maybe something I don't know and I made up. I don't know. This is a move forward podcast is what this is. All of the stupid stuff I say that sometimes gets edited out is all staying in today. Kind of like last week when we forgot how many games are in the regular season. That's a thing we did.
Yes, it was.
Oh boy. I almost cut that out. Yeah. I probably should have cut that out of the podcast, but I didn't because we believe in transparency.
Yes.
So Nebraska and OU, the two places where he has strong family ties, the strongest of family ties with his dad being a defensive coordinator in Athens, with Joey Burrow being from Athens, are probably the first two we're going to knock off the list. Joey Burrow is being courted, being offered by schools in the Power Fives. Ohio isn't. And it's really just that simple. I think he has a real chance to play at a high level. I just don't think that Ohio U is that high level. So then the question comes in, well, we have the Power Five, and then we kind of have the other conferences, and in this hazy sort of middle purgatory situation, we have the American Conference, which isn't quite a power conference, but is definitely a step above the MACs and the Sun Belts of the world.
Yeah.
You have the American Conference, and that brings us to Cincinnati.
Yeah, well, before we get to Cincinnati, I think another one you can cross off too is UCLA.
Really?
I don't think there's just in my eyes, I don't think there's a lot of interest. But from the reports that we're seeing, and more recently this weekend, I almost think we can narrow it down to two schools right now.
Let's do a bit of a reminder here for a second. Chip Kelly's the coach at UCLA.
That is true. Yes.
Chip Kelly, Urban Meyer are friends. There's zero chance that, there's some vouching going back and forth there. I don't know. I disagree with you. I am not crossing UCLA off the list. I'm keeping UCLA on the potential transfer list.
If we're trying to narrow this down, who would you cross off next then? Florida, LSU,
Florida,
Cincinnati, and UCLA. Okay. That would have been my next one then.
Yeah. Dan Mullins has basically stated before the announcement of Joey Burrow's transfer that he wasn't interested in any graduate transfer quarterbacks. And I believe he's been asked again since the announcement, and he reiterated that he's not interested in any transfer quarterbacks. The rule number one, the doctor lies. And that does not just apply to Urban Meyer. Coaches say what coaches need to say. And maybe it's just a save face technique in case Burrow does decide to transfer elsewhere, that he then doesn't have to answer question, so maybe you take that at face value and maybe we apply rule one and say that the doctor lies. But based on that, I think I'm going to knock Florida off the list. So now we're down to LSU, Cincinnati, and UCLA.
Now, recently he did a one-day stay at Cincinnati. Got to talk with coaches and assistants there. But the really intriguing one here was LSU. He spent 3 days down in Louisiana talking with coaches, spending time with their offense and how he would fit into their offense. That one's really interesting because of the length of time that he was there to see if he'd be a good fit.
Yeah, that definitely adds into the intrigue. LSU does not appear to have any answer at quarterback at the moment. Definitely interesting. I would definitely keep LSU in the top 2 or 3 schools. Back to what I was saying before, is Cincinnati a legitimate destination for Joe Burrow?
I think so. Look who's the head coach there.
Sure, there are ties. He knows Luke Fickell. Luke Fickell knows him. It's close to home. He doesn't have to travel to, all the way to Los Angeles to play football. His family's in Athens. His current life is in Columbus. There are absolutely ties there that make a lot of sense.
Yeah, and as Tony Gerdeman mentioned it earlier in the week, he could lead the ACC to, the AAC to a second straight national title.
Maybe. So you do think that Cincinnati's a legit contender in this discussion, despite the fact that they aren't a Power 5 school?
I think so, yeah. Definitely in the mix. But I don't know, the way there's been a lot of talk with LSU, I'd be surprised if he doesn't choose LSU, honestly. The way things are heating up down there. And really, you look at LSU for a number of years, they've always had good teams, but what's the one position they've always been missing? The quarterback. That's the one position they've always missed out on. And if they had a decent quarterback, they'd be right there with Alabama year in and year out, but they've been struggling with that. And having Joe Burrow there, that makes him a real contender against Alabama.
Yeah,
starting right away.
Maybe I'm wrong, or maybe Joe Burrow just doesn't feel this way, but I just have zero faith in Coach Orgeron. That's just I wouldn't gamble my entire football career. If you asked me, who would you rather gamble your football career on, Chip Kelly or Coach Orgeron? Who are you as a quarterback going to gamble your future on?
It's definitely a good argument, a valid point. I mean, the resume's there with Chip Kelly. Coach O has some, but no success yet as a head coach. We'll see as his career continues. I don't know. It's just the way that things have been going on here, and things that I'm reading here. It's really looking good for LSU, but stranger things have happened though in the recruiting and transfers process in years past. So who knows? Our guess is as good as anybody's.
All right, let me throw a couple wild cards out there. I'm gonna bet. Do you want to maybe settle on a final bet?
Okay.
A final prediction. I'm gonna go outside the box and go UCLA.
You go with UCLA. I think I'm going to stick with LSU.
Of course.
And we'll both be wrong, and he goes to Cincinnati.
Entirely possible. Although I should point out, as far as UCLA goes, they already picked up one graduate transfer. Do you know who that is? Our buddy Wilton Spate. You think he wants to compete with Wilton Spate? All right, let me.
What do you mean compete?
Yeah. Can I throw an oddball one at you? A real oddball one. Wyoming. I know we already said, he's only maybe going to look at a Power 5. If not a Power 5, then maybe Cincinnati. But I get that they're a Mountain West school. But let me point this out. They did just get a quarterback drafted in the top 7 just a couple weeks ago at the NFL draft. And it's the same offensive coordinator coach, offensive coordinator / quarterbacks coach who is at North Dakota State, who coached Carson Wentz. You have a offensive coordinator / quarterbacks coach in Wyoming who has put 2 quarterbacks in the NFL top 10 draft picks. Wentz was top 10, wasn't he? Close to it. Whatever. First rounders. I mean, that's if you're talking about a coach with a great track record with quarterbacks, maybe that's your guy. I don't think it's going to happen. Don't get me wrong, but I just wanted to toss it out there. It's a bit of a reach, but if it does turn out to be Wyoming, I'm going to look like a goddamn genius. That's called planting a flag. All right, player reactions. Players took to Twitter to react to Joey Burrow's transfer. Dwayne Haskins says, "Good luck to you, brother. Appreciate you for making me better. See you at the top." Very supportive. Tate Martell did a much longer supportive tweet that was pointed out by Bruce Feldman, who said that he noticed that there was a lot of camaraderie between the quarterbacks at Ohio State. And Tate Martell responded back to Bruce Feldman by saying, "Yes, we are all in competition with each other. But at the end of the day, they're still my brothers, and I want the best for them. I forever got their back. Mike Weber responded simply with a no. How was my line read on that? Was that good?
A little over the top, but
was it over the top? I mean, he put a lot of O's in there. I wanted to properly convey the amount of O's he used.
I think it would have been more appropriate if it was the
Darth Vader.
Darth Vader, no, yes,
yeah, that's sort of what I was going for. KJ Hill says, "Love you, dirty white boy." Although the best one came from Nick Bosa.
Yes, and he said, "Can't wait to sack you."
So Dwayne Haskins is the starter now, right?
Most likely, but it isn't a sure thing. But most likely,
but he's the starter now, right?
Again, most likely.
Yeah, I mean, probably. I mean, we sort of suspected a while ago that the competition was actually down to Burrow and Haskins, even though that they weren't saying that out loud. Tate Martell, I think, is still going to get on the field. At least that's the idea. At least that was the idea. He was going to get on the field in some special packages. But, Kyle, can they still do that if you kind of only have two quarterbacks on the roster right now? I get that Baldwin's on the roster, but he's coming off of an ACL tear. I don't know if or when he'll be ready. It's obviously their intent to redshirt him. You kind of only have two quarterbacks on the roster. Should you be risking Tate Martell in some sort of Sunspear package?
With the way that Urban's running his offense, I don't think you can. You need to find, in my eyes, I think you need to find another quarterback.
And we could have, I chose not to, we could have talked about Ohio State potentially pursuing some graduate transfers of their own to add some depth. I personally think the market's a little dry. One of the better guys on the market just, I think, transferred to either UCF or USF, I forget. One of the directional Floridas. And it's a hard sell. Like, how are you going to ask someone to come spend their last year of college football being the third string quarterback? It's a hard sell, and you're just not going to get any of the really good guys with that offer. So unless you can find someone who's doing it actually for academic purposes, which is entirely possible, it's a very, very hard sell. All right. Speaking of transfers, Wayne Davis, Ohio State safety Wayne Davis, has decided to transfer from the program, which puts Ohio State at the 85 scholarship mark. Now, of course, they'd go back over that if they do bring in a graduate transfer quarterback. But for right now, Ohio State is at the 85 limit.
All according to plan.
Yeah, all according to plan. Yeah, they had moved a couple players into the safety position. The safety room got real crowded real quick. Wayne Davis said he still, he looked and he said, I still have 3 years of eligibility left. Let me use one of those to transfer. And he's going to use one of them to transfer. He has not announced where he is transferring yet, but he'll still have 2 years of eligibility once he gets there. Once a Buckeye, always a Buckeye. We wish Wayne Davis all the best. Mm-hmm. And I don't think we actually said it about Joe Burrow, but I wish Joe Burrow all the best as long as he doesn't go to Nebraska.
Yes.
And even if he does, be over there in the Big Ten West, do your thing over there, but know your role when Ohio State comes to town. That's it. But no, in all seriousness, I like Joey Burrow a lot as a guy, and not that I know him personally, but just he seemed like a, kind of like KJ Hill said, he's a dirty white boy. I don't know what that means. But yeah, and I think he would have been a great Ohio State quarterback. Had things played out differently, he would have been a great Ohio State quarterback. And I wish him all the best at UCLA or LSU or Cincinnati or wherever he ends up.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, Kyle, we're going to spend the back half of this show. We did mention Wayne Davis. So that was our, honestly, Kyle, our one quarterback departure for the show. So we took a little break. We talked about Wayne Davis. Now we're going to talk more quarterbacks. We're going to jump into some recruiting, We're going to talk about Ohio State's current quarterback recruiting situation. Urban Meyer said in a press conference that the quarterback depth in the 2019 class, I don't remember the exact wording he used, so I'll use my wording, is lacking. I think he simply said that there was not a lot of depth at the quarterback position in the 2019 class. It is no secret that Ohio State's primary target at quarterback right now is Houston, Texas quarterback Grant Gunnell. Yep. This is target numero uno.
Yeah, he's the third best pro-style quarterback for the 2019 class here. Still looking at the crystal ball here, still favoring heavily for Ohio State. So still good news. Just following up on the crystal ball reports for Gunnell here. I mean, he's you look at his build. He's built like a pro style. He's 6'6", 222 going into his senior year.
Yeah, they'll have to add some meat to that frame, but yeah. 222 is not a lot when you're 6'6".
He's in high school.
Yeah. I'm just saying they're going to have to add some meat to that frame is all. And they will. Don't worry about that. They will.
You need to add some meat to him. You need to add some fat to this one. This next guy here, Dwayne Mathis from Bellevue, Michigan. He's the 11th ranked pro style quarterback. He's 6'5", $195. So we need to maybe put a little bit of fat on him if you want to say put some meat on Gunnell.
No, not fat, muscle. Get him in the dojo.
Oh, you know what I mean.
Get him in the dojo. Yeah, pro style quarterback. Did you give out all of Grant Gunnell's ratings?
Yeah.
Okay. Dwayne Mathis. I was trying to throw an I in there. Number 11 pro style quarterback in the country. 263 overall. He is currently committed to Michigan State. Recently picked up a offer from Ohio State. This is sort of what has people maybe feeling a tad less confident about Grant Gunnell. Grant Gunnell comes in for a visit, and previous to that visit, I think people were a lot higher on Grant Gunnell going to Ohio State. But since that visit, Ohio State has reached out and made some offers to other quarterbacks. Dwayne Mathis among them. That has people wondering, is that a point of concern? Grant Gunnell, I should probably point out, was committed to Texas A&M at one point, which puts him in good company with Tate Martell. Was committed to Texas A&M at one point, and he left when the head coach was fired, and the head coach is now in Arizona. So I think even though we aren't necessarily seeing it reflected in the crystal ball at this point, not necessarily any Arizona love in the crystal ball right now, but I think that despite that, you probably need to be nervous about Grant Gunnell going maybe to Arizona. And maybe that's where some of the hesitation's coming from. You just sort of read the tea leaves. Grant Gunnell comes in for a visit. Everyone says the visit's great, but Ohio State has been offering quarterbacks since then. Dwayne Mathis among them. They offered Graham Mertz, who is actually a Wisconsin commit currently. They offered him a while ago, but they just recently brought him in for a visit, I want to say just last weekend. And then they also recently handed out an offer to Ryan Helinski, who is currently a South Carolina commit. So there has been a lot of movement by the coaches in regards to quarterbacks outside of Grant Gunnell. I'm not saying that this means Grant Gunnell's not coming to Ohio State, because all signs are still pointing towards that being the likelihood. I believe Grant Gunnell said that he wants to commit at some point before the season. So maybe we have our answer sooner rather than later. But, as we all learned last cycle with Emory Jones, this stuff is always, always, always moving. And we are still fairly early in this recruiting cycle. We're just fairly early in the recruiting cycle now, Kyle. We've upgraded that to fairly early.
Yeah, I definitely could see Ohio State going after two quarterbacks for 2019. Gunnell being their main target, and maybe these other ones as a second quarterback too.
I don't think you get a guy of the quality of any of these three guys to come in with Grant Gunnell. I think all of these quarterbacks, as highly rated as they are, I think kind of want to be the guy in the class, especially when you have the quarterback talent at Ohio State that you already have at Ohio State. You know, Ohio State is maybe having a bit of a quarterback depth issue in that they don't have a healthy third quarterback, but the talent is still there. Tate Martell, highly touted. Dwayne Haskins has a couple years of eligibility left, so unless he completely lights the world on fire and goes pro after this year, we probably have 2 years of Dwayne Haskins. Tate Martell hasn't used a year of eligibility left, so we could see up to 4 more years in, this season plus 3 more of Tate Martell. Baldwin's in all likelihood going to redshirt. So we have 5 years of Baldwin, potentially, if he doesn't end up transferring, or if Tate Martell doesn't end up transferring. You just never know. So I don't think you get one of these guys to come in with another one of these guys. I don't see that happening from a competition standpoint. Especially, like I said, when 3 of these guys have already found homes. Like you're trying to convince them to leave a place they've already committed.
Definitely really interesting. Both quarterback situations, both for this year and for the recruiting part of it too.
Yeah, and for future years. I mean, that's, when you talk about recruiting and when you talk about quarterback futures, when we talk about the futures of quarterbacks, you either say that it's exciting or it's scary. And right now it's more exciting than scary. Ohio State really just needs one of these guys. Now, something else interesting to point out, again, we're talking about Grant Gunnell, Dwayne Mathis, Graham Mertz, Ryan Helinski. What do all 4 of these guys have in common, Kyle? Have you noticed the trend with these 4 guys?
They're all pro styles.
They're all pro styles, not a dual threat runner among them. Now, Urban Meyer was also asked about that, and he says, well, that's just what's out there. I know we brought in Doug Baldwin last time, and he's a pro-style quarterback, and we know we have Dwayne Haskins on the roster, and he's a pro-style quarterback, and I know that we're really only recruiting pro-style quarterbacks right now, but that doesn't mean anything. He says that's just a reflection of what's available in these classes right now. Now, Tate Martell's a dual-threat quarterback, and they just brought in Tate Martell, so maybe you read into that, maybe, so what do you think, Kyle? Is this rule 1, the doctor lies, or is Ohio State looking towards pro-style quarterbacks now?
Maybe. I mean, what's Haskins?
Pro-style.
Okay.
Tate Martell's a dual threat.
He is definitely a dual threat, but Ohio State has always had both styles in their arsenal.
Okay, but let me point this out to you. I get that Ohio State brings in Doug Baldwin last recruiting cycle, and yes, he is a pro-style quarterback, but Emory Jones was a dual threat, and that was Ohio State's guy. I think I am going to believe Urban on this one. I'm the one that always like to say the doctor lies, but I think that in this case, I do believe him. I just don't think that they've got comfortable with any of the dual threat guys in this recruiting cycle. Some of the guys we talked about months ago when we were doing, previews of all the quarterbacks. There's a guy from out in Oregon, and that's just never really a really talented dual threat quarterback in Oregon. And I think that just never turned out to be anything. Maybe that's just too much of a reach to pull a guy from Oregon. I don't know. I don't think necessarily that Ohio State has shifted their methodology with quarterbacks.
I don't think so either.
All right, Kyle, anything else recruiting wise? Anything else Ohio State wise? Anything else before we maybe pull up short into the end of the show? I have one quick thing. I do want to encourage everyone. Really good article on 11 Warriors. I believe it was this week, if not last week. It was an interview by Andrew Lind. He interviewed Zach Harrison, who is one of the best defensive ends in the entire country and a Columbus, or at least Central Ohio native, about his recruiting process, when he plans to commit, which I believe was sometime in mid-August. I don't have the story up in front of me right now. There's some people who are getting nervous, and I get why they're getting nervous after last recruiting cycle with the best player in Ohio and how that was weird and didn't turn out well for Ohio State. So some people are getting a little bit nervous around Zach Harrison because best player in Ohio, he's been very quiet. People are getting a little worked up, and I think if you want to feel a little bit better about maybe where Zach Harrison is and maybe why he's being quiet, and if you maybe just want to get some insights from the guy himself, it is actually, now that I mention it, I just found the article. The name of the article is Hear It From the Man Himself. Once again, it was by Andrew Lind. It's posted on 11 Warriors. It was posted on May 6th. So if you want some insights into Zach Harrison, I'm going to recommend that article, even though it's on the competition site. Tony actually is going to fire me. If not Tony, Shannon. Shannon's been gunning for me for a while. I think Shannon's been gunning for me for a while ever since I called him out. It's a whole thing. But Tony's going to fire us, Kyle.
And it's all your fault.
Oh, they might just fire me. Are you ready to do this show solo?
Oh no, I'd be all over the place.
Listen, I'm the one that does all the podcasting magic piece of it. You're just the pretty face. So I don't think you could pull it off, to be honest with you. Is it time to move into the end of the show? Yep. That is a nod from Kyle, once again proving that he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. Time to move into the end of the show. Want to encourage everyone to check out theozone.net, where we are, at least for the moment, being featured until Tony fires us. Want to encourage you to check out sloopcast.com. There you can find all the music we play on the show. You can find donation options for donating some money to the Sloopcast. If you donate $10 or more and you include a shipping address, we will ship you out a swag bag that is actually a box. It's got some fun stuff in there, some miniature footballs that aren't made of Nerf, some pens, some stickers, bottle openers, can koozies. Oh, I'm sorry, Kyle always likes to point out the can koozies. I just stole his thunder. Just some fun stuff. And it's only $10, and it's probably worth more than $10 in value, but I don't care. I just want to get some money in and get some stuff out to the fans.
Yeah, just like we mentioned last week's episode, the cans are coming back. Cans are coming back, and the koozies are perfect. So hashtag insert your ad here. Can beer, your sponsor could be right here, could go into your Sloopcast can koozie.
I have actually honestly mentioned Land Grant's name now 2 episodes in a row. No more, you guys. That's it. You've gotten 2 straight shout outs. No more free. You can pay us in beer. We don't mind. That's fine.
Oh, if you guys can get some here to the Raleigh area, I'd be all over that.
You probably just have to sign for the shipment. That's all. It's no big deal. They'll ship you some. Kyle some beer.
In general, yes.
You can pay us in beer. We're cool with that. Land Grant or whoever else, some of the great other Ohio breweries around town.
Yes.
I'm looking at you, Brewdog, Elevator, and just let me name some of your competition now. Wolf's Ridge. I like me some Wolf's Ridge. Guys, right here, this could be your ad space. It would be fantastic. We will drink your beer on the air, and it'll slowly turn to hell the later we go in the podcast. It'll be fun. It'll be fun.
It would be fun.
It would be fun. We'll get drunk on air. It's great. Kyle, what the hell are we talking about?
Random stuff. Follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, Instagram, anywhere else that is social media related.
Okay, that wasn't bad. You have to remember to actually give out the handles.
At the crazy one. No, seriously, at Sloopcast on all social media. Search for the word Sloopcast. You will find us on almost all social medias.
There you go. And Kyle, what's your Twitter handle?
Crazy one, crazy with a K, one spelled out.
We gotta see. This is what I'm saying. You can't steer this ship by yourself.
I tell you, I would go all over the place.
It would be a disaster. I love you, buddy, but it would be a disaster.
Speaking of all over the place here.
This is what happens when we don't have enough to talk about. This silliness is what happens when we don't have enough to talk about. Enter the wasteland with us. Welcome to May. It doesn't get better from here, you guys. Or maybe it gets better.
June might get worse.
Depending upon if you're enjoying this part of the show right now, it's either going to get a lot better or a lot worse. Depending upon your preference. Other stuff. I don't know. Rate and review us on Apple Podcast, and wherever else you can rate and review podcasts. Those are always super, super appreciated. It helps us in the rankings and all of that stuff, helps us be seen, helps us attract new listeners. And I'd also like to encourage you to give us those lovely retweets and likes and shares and whatever else on social media. Those are always appreciated. It really helps us manipulate those algorithms and get seen by as many people as possible. And also, since I was mentioning it before, I am starting the music podcast that I've been wanting to start for a while. It is called 7071. You can follow me and get some of my music ramblings at 7071 Music on Twitter. I do have a website. There's really nothing there yet. The website is at 7071.co.
.co.
The .com was taken. So I went with .co. I could have went with .rocks. That would have been fun, but I went with .co.
All right.
I enjoyed the fact that my URL was only 6 characters long.
That is nice.
Yeah, right? 7071.co. I guess it's actually
7, but
it's 7 if you count the dot.
Yes.
It's 7 if you count the dot. All right, let's end this train wreck. You have anything in Kyle's corner?
A couple of things. Hashtag save the crew. A lot of buzz going around here with the Ohio judge kind of pretty much putting a 90-day hiatus, saying, hey, pre-court and everybody else, you all need to get into a room, talk this over. Let's get this settled. Whatever happened, just get it settled. That way this doesn't have to linger on then. So the court's getting involved here now. So it'll be interesting to see what happens afterwards. But it's that 90-day hiatus is really a good thing, probably for the hashtag Save the Crew movement here to keep your local team in Columbus. Just a lot of good buzz going along, and we'll definitely update with more information as they come. But with that, the team themselves has been playing very well. Came off a big win against one of their arch rivals, Chicago, 3-0. Very good win, and they just looked like so much better than they have at the end of April. If you haven't been out there, definitely go out. And this pisses me off too. I haven't seen anywhere other than people who go to the games or even on Reddit pages. There is student deals out there for crew games where you can go get a ticket for $15 for showing your student ID. But you don't see that anywhere else unless you go digging for it. Spread the word out there.
That's the thing. He complains about the location of the stadium, but it's walking distance from campus.
It is. It's walking distance.
You could have a crew shuttle, a little shuttle bus, run it up and down Hudson Street, take it down to High Street, find yourself a parking lot, pick up students, and shuttle them down, offer them group tickets, offer them cheaper tickets, actually advertise the fact that you're doing these things.
Advertising, yes.
So, like I said, he complains about the location of the stadium, but this is just demographics. The younger people, your college age, the younger you go in the demographics in this country, the more they like soccer. If someone in their 50s or 60s is far less likely to like soccer than someone in their 30s, who is far less likely to like soccer than someone in their 20s, and so on and so forth. The younger the generation, the more they like soccer. That's just demographics in this country. That's how that works. You have 50,000 college students walking distance from your stadium.
It's crazy.
And you can't do a shuttle bus and advertise student tickets. You can fill that stadium with a little bit of effort.
What is it now? Columbus is at over 2 million population right now. So 2 million people to get the word out.
Which does not include the 50,000 students who aren't permanent residents of the city.
No, it doesn't.
It could be done if you wanted it to be done.
That and they need to replace their freaking lights too. Like half of their lights above the stadium are out.
They don't care is the point.
Yeah.
They don't want to succeed in Columbus is the point.
Yep. Other thing, JT Barrett looking really good with the Saints right now.
Okay. I listen, I hope I'm wrong. But you know what? Maybe we open this up. Maybe we open this up to the fans. Let's you and I do a bet. I bet you JT Barrett does not make the final 53 for the Saints. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm betting that he doesn't. And I'm going to open it up to the fans. Throw us some consequences for the bet. Are you willing to take the other side of that bet, Kyle?
I can't yet. No.
Oh, you're no fun.
It's too early.
You're no fun. I'm trying.
But he's looking good for what he's been given so far. I'll give him that.
We do have one Sloopcast question, which I think goes perfectly in this part of the show. From @TheUrbanRenewal on Twitter, top summer beers. What am I saying, man? It's perfect for this spot in the show. Top summer beers. What do you got, Kyle?
I always enjoy good summer shandy.
Shandies are nice. Can I offer some shandy advice to everybody? Of course I can. Well, it's my podcast. What are you going to do? Turn me off? Don't turn me off. What are you going to do? Turn me off?
Jeez, going to get fired from Tony Gernman.
Uh-huh. All the fans are going to leave. I'm feeling very hostile today. I don't know why. The Traveler shandy is far superior to the more popular Leinenkugel shandy.
I have to keep my eyes open on that.
The Sam Adams has a porch rocker, which is very, very good. The Land Grant American Wheat, the one that has the crew stuff on the can, that's a very good summer beer. I actually just last night had a clear, it's part of their Clear Skyline. It's a Wolfridge beer. Oh, I can't remember the name of it. There's a Clear Sky coffee flavored beer. It was really good. They had one there that was I think they called it an orange sickle or something. I wasn't brave enough to try it. I don't necessarily like orange in my beer. That's just a personal preference. But knowing Wolf's Ridge, it was probably good and probably very refreshing. And I don't know. I think that's it. Any other shout outs on the summer beers?
No, I don't have really a particular beer for summer, but I always do enjoy good summer shandy though.
Yeah, I'm not like a seasonal drinker. I know a lot of people are like, well, I prefer this time and that time. I don't. I was literally drinking a coffee stout at Land Grant on Friday night, which is like a winter beer, but I don't care. It's what I wanted. All right. Speaking of Land Grant and Friday night, do a concert review. Why not? Saw Playing to Vapors for what feels like the millionth time. I'm telling you guys, these guys are the best band in Columbus right now. The best unsigned act in the entire state, in my opinion. They're fantastic. They're amazing. They're working on a new album right now, and they played some songs from that new album on Friday, and I'm stoked. Playing to Vapors is rad, is what I'm trying to tell you. We've already played Playing to Vapors a couple times on the show, so I am going to move in a new direction. But if you're into Playing to Vapors, if you're into sort of very intricate math rock, I'm going to maybe offer another option for you on today's show. This band is called Narrow Arrow. The name of this song is Correct Sean, and they are from the Cleveland area, I do believe. I forgot to pull up their Bandcamp page, so if I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but I do believe they are from the Cleveland area. Once again, they are Narrow Arrow. It's actually narrow/arrow. Narrow/arrow. I don't know how they actually would like that said out loud. I'm just going to go with Narrow Arrow. Once again, math rock, very intricate guitar work, and the name of this song, once again, is Correct Sean. So, with that being said, I'd like to encourage everyone who is of age to drink local beer, or, whatever, I'm not your dad, listen to local music, and, of course, support your local podcasters. Once again, this is Narrow Arrow.